Yo ho ho! So today I'm going to be talking you through all the books that I want to read this autumn, and if you've been following me for any amount of time, you'll know that autumn is generally my favourite time of year. I just feel like it's a nice reset period. I like when there's a bit of a chill in the air. I've also completed my first week back at college doing my final year, so I'm a bit all over the place with that at the moment, but I'm going to be doing it all online, so it seems like I'll have enough time to get my reading done for this period. So the first two books that I'm going to be showing you are from my summer TBR that unfortunately I didn't have enough time to get through, but I will be starting one of them this week because I'm almost finished reading what I'm currently reading, which is The Greek Myths by Robert Graves. The first one is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, and then the second one is The Witching Hour by Anne Rice, and I have a sneaking suspicion that this is actually going to be the one that I pick up this week, so fingers crossed. It is over 900 pages long, but sure, I'm really into reading big books at the moment. And now to get into the newest section of the TBR, I'm going to be picking up The Stand by Stephen King. This is currently the biggest unread book that I own. It's over 1,300 pages or so, and I'm not so intimidated by the size. It's more so the subject matter is the reason why I haven't really picked it up. I was really excited to read it, and that's why I asked for it for Christmas last year, but once the pandemic actually hit, it was like the last thing I want to read about. I just didn't really want to depress myself since I was already in a bit of a shoddy mental state, as I'm sure a lot of us are. But typically pandemics are one of my all-time favourite subgenres of horror. I don't know why, but I've always just gravitated to watching those kind of disaster movies or reading about it. This is the fundamental pandemic horror story, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this. I'm probably not going to crack it open until October, but I have really high hopes for it. So the next book that I'm going to be reading is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. So this was quite strange because I'd been thinking about reading this and picking this up over October, and I was initially planning on getting it from the library, but I ended up finding it in a charity shop, and I just thought that was strange since I had it on my mind, and then I came across this basically new looking edition of it. I think this is the American edition though, and it's a little bit shorter than my usual books, but it's grand. Like, it was only €1, so I'm not too bothered about it. But this is about a young girl whose family moves into a new house. She comes across a room in the house that basically has a door to a parallel dimension where everything is the same but slightly different. And I'm really looking forward to being able to read this and then finally watch the film, because I've heard so many great things about that, and I just want another like children's spooky film to add to my watch list every October. The next book is another bit of an ambitious read, but I'm going to be picking up the complete works of Edgar Allan Poe, and I'm going to be reading a few of his short stories. My goal is to read 5 short stories. I think that's a decent amount. I have to go through it and figure out what I've read previously and what I haven't read. If I end up rereading some of his stuff, I don't really mind because I love his work so much, but yeah, it's not October without reading any Edgar Allan Poe. And you're going to be seeing this at some point in October in a weekend reading vlog, so I'm really looking forward to that. And then finally, the last book that I'm going to be getting to is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Now, this is, if I go in order of everything that I've shown you, this is going to be the last book on my physical TBR that I have to get through before I'm finished and I've read every book that I own. So that's very exciting, but I'm also not going to put any stress or pressure on myself to get this read. Even if I start this by November, I think I'll be quite happy. I'm kind of trying to estimate how much coursework I'm going to have due at that time. Typically, I should have about 4 assignments due in November, and then in December, I'm going to have half of my dissertation due as well. So I know it's going to get quite heavy, especially since I'm doing it all online. I'm going to be kind of stressed out at home. I'm not going to say I want to have this finished by the time winter rolls around, but if I have it started, I'm going to be absolutely delighted. So those are all the books that I want to read this autumn. I know it is really ambitious, but I'm feeling positive about it, and to be perfectly honest, I'm just really looking forward to getting my physical TBR to 0 and the idea of getting new books and not feeling guilty about it. Also, I've ordered in a few books to my local library that I want to read over the Halloween period, and I don't want to say what they are because I've been having really bad problems recently with actually getting my orders from the library. It's typically taking them over a month to prepare them and have them ready for me, which is kind of annoying because typically it would only take about 3 days, so I'm not really used to this. So fingers crossed that those books actually show up. If they don't, no big deal. I have plenty of stuff to read, but I would like to just have a spookier selection of books to read. So let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know what you're also going to be reading over autumn, because I'm always interested in finding out and getting other recommendations for books. And please like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.